This model looks finished, but if its sketches aren't fully constrained, one simple edit can break the whole design. Let's take a closer look at the sketch behind this model. The geometry is still light blue, which tells us the sketch is under-constrained and still has degrees of freedom. There are also no visible dimensions controlling the geometry, so some of its size and position can still change. An under-constrained sketch can shift unexpectedly when the design is edited, so for a robust production-ready model, it's best to fully constrain the sketch. I'll start with the constraint tools. First, I'll use horizontal-vertical to lock these lines to the horizontal and vertical directions. This constraint can preserve lines that are already aligned or snap slightly angled lines to the nearest horizontal or vertical direction. Next, I'll add dimensions to lock the horizontal and vertical lengths so they can't change accidentally. Now I'll use the symmetry constraint. I'll select the left and right edges, then the y-axis as the symmetry line. Fusion gives me an over-constrained warning. This usually means that relationship is already defined by existing dimensions or constraints, so adding another constraint would be redundant or conflicting. It's not necessarily a problem. Fusion is simply preventing us from over-defining the sketch. Without leaving the command, I'll now constrain the top and bottom edges symmetrically about the x-axis. Next, I'll use Coincident to place the left circle's center on the x-axis. Its diameter is still unconstrained, so I can resize it, but its center can no longer move away from the axis. The right circle is still free to move and resize, so I'll constrain its center to the x-axis as well. Now I'll apply equal between the two circles. If I resize one, the other changes with it, so I only need to dimension one of them. I'll set the diameter here. Next, I'll use symmetry to keep both circle centers equally spaced from the y-axis. Finally, I'll dimension the left hole's distance from the plate edge. Notice that some geometry has now turned black, meaning those elements are fully constrained. But much of the sketch is still blue and can still move, so we're not finished yet. Next, I use the horizontal-vertical constraint to make the straight edges of the center slot perfectly horizontal. Then I apply the tangent constraint, making each semicircular end tangent to the horizontal lines. Now I define the distance between the center points of the two semicircles using the dimension tool. Finally, I add one more dimension to define the radius of the left semicircle. Next, I make the origin visible from the browser. Using the dimension tool, I define the distance between the left edge of the sketch and the origin. Then I add one more dimension between the center point of the left semicircle and the origin. And with that final dimension, every line in the sketch changes from blue to black. This tells us that the sketch is now fully constrained and the geometry can no longer move freely. To verify it, I can try dragging different parts of the sketch. As you can see, nothing moves or changes unexpectedly. Also notice the red lock symbol that now appears on the sketch in the browser. This is another indication that all of the geometry in this sketch is fully constrained. This is important because I can now continue into the 3D modeling stage, knowing that the sketch will not accidentally shift or lose its intended geometry later in the design. And one last thing. If this helped, please subscribe. There's more practical Fusion content coming.